Hello, everybody. Hi. Okay, this is Tuesday, but it's not yet 2. However, I'm going to go ahead and start now with some value for you, even though it's not 2. It is Tuesday. The reason is we right now are talking about some essential oils this week that everybody has been really focused on learning more about, and I want to get this out sooner than later. So if I wait until 2, then we have wasted another hour that we could have been spreading this information and message about these essential oils that you guys can share to anybody else that might want to learn more about them, right? So that being said, share. I've been doing these videos on my personal page for the last 4 videos, and I meant to do them on Tuesday here. Share this to whoever you want to share this shareable compliant content about deep blue and past tense. And I actually need to share this to my personal page when I'm done. So I will do that. But for now, we're going to have it here. So what I would like for you guys to do is think about discomfort, and think about basically unease and tension and what's behind that. Now, what I also was going to let you guys know is that much of what I wanted to share with you is borrowed. Information is information, right? It's all public, but I personally in the past have really appreciated Dr. Dave Stour. He is an endodontist, he's a physician, he's Harvard trained, and he is one of doTERRA's members, and I believe he's part of the medical, I don't even know his role within doTERRA, but I know he's with doTERRA. And normally he does a really good job of educating us, and in the past he's done a couple of different videos about deep blue specifically, and but this time he hasn't. So I shared some previous videos that he had made, and I got some feedback from people saying, we want to hear you explain it. So I said, well, I'm just gonna say what he said. That's okay. I want to hear Jessica say it. So you know what? Jessica is going to say what he said in my own words, and I'm gonna add a couple of tips too that I personally have found. But what I found really important about what he had to say was that when we think about, first of all, let's talk about the blends, okay? So we're talking about deep blue. When you think of deep blue, automatically we're thinking of discomfort. We're automatically, deep blue, if you have never heard of it, is known for aches, discomfort, tension. We have our other one, past tense, that we're talking about today, specifically tension. But they have some ingredients in common. For example, they both have wintergreen, and that's going to be important. We're about to talk about wintergreen. They both have Roman Chamomile. They both have peppermint. They both have, that might be where it ends. I think that's where it ends. Okay, if anybody else can think of, there's another oil that they both have in common, let me know, but I think it's the peppermint, it's the wintergreen, and the Roman Chamomile. Okay, so those 3 things are in common, but when we think about deep blue, and when we think about past tense, we're thinking about tension, we're thinking about discomfort. So what is pain? What is discomfort? When you have these occasional sensations, it's your body telling you that something is amiss, that it's a good thing, we need to do something different. And so it's not so much that you don't want to have it, it's that you want to pay attention to it. So the first thing that he had mentioned was that when you have something cooling, like either peppermint or wintergreen, what happens when you use something like that on your skin is it causes this cooling effect. And the cooling effect on your skin causes a message to your brain that says, okay, something that was maybe hot and feeling like it was inflamed is now feeling cool. So your brain gets the message that, oh, okay, this is cool now. This is feeling better now. I don't, as the brain, need to continue that feedback loop of sending pro-inflammatory mediators or markers, whatever, cytokine, whatever they might be, okay? They don't need to go to that area and continue to feed into that cycle, because now there's a cooling sensation. So that's kind of a nice thing. You don't want this pain as a secondary result of this inflammation and then all of these other components that are being gathered together to that area. Pain doesn't just like come out of the blue. It's a result of, maybe there's swelling, maybe there's another inflammatory process, but then that pain is a result of that. So if we can do something about that, again, if you have a broken arm or a broken leg, you don't want to just say, oh, and not do anything to fix the actual source. But when you have occasional discomfort or soreness, and you know that you just would like some relief and you like to kind of speed up that process, that's really nice to know that that's possible to do that in a natural way. But the nice thing is that he also mentioned was when you have this continuous process, if you don't interrupt that, if you don't do the cooling, or you don't start to send messages to the brain telling the brain, okay, we're starting to take care of this, we're doing something about this, the brain will continue to send those mediators and those markers that are associated with inflammation, and then that can cause this feedback loop where it's more and it's more and it's more, and then you can start to get tissue damage to that area. Now you can start to have actual destruction and damage of a part of your body because your brain just keeps on trying to flood it with this response that can get out of control. So he brought out that wintergreen has the methyl salicylate, 35 polyphenols, which are antioxidants in wintergreen. Remember, wintergreen is in both of these essential oil blends. So that when you apply that to the surface, as it penetrates, it's starting to reduce the oxidation. So those polyphenols, those antioxidants, it's reducing the inflammation, the oxidation, and then therefore the possibility of tissue breakdown. So it's helping from the skin surface on down, which is really nice to know because the cells are throughout. They're on the skin, they're underlying. Each part of our body has different cells, but we want the actual cellular repair to happen at that level. And that's going to be possible knowing that there's sesquiterpenes in wintergreen and some of the other oils that are in these essential oil blends. We're going to have the penetration that we need to get the job done. Okay, the other thing is what happens at the surface, you start to have this cooling effect that also starts to give you like a numbing effect. That's important too because your brain wants to preserve you. Your brain wants you to stay alive. So if you were feeling an intense discomfort and now you're feeling cooling and now you're feeling numbing, the brain says, okay, that feels better. Give me more of that. So now, good morning. Now you can go ahead and your brain is going to kind of ask you for more. And so you are going to start to be really more intuitive on knowing, okay, that is something that I want to repeat. I'm going to continue. As this starts to wear off and I start to maybe feel some of that discomfort come back, I'm going to repeat that. And your brain will trigger that and say, okay, we're enough. Time for another application. It's really neat. All right, so that is one thing. We want the tissue repair. We want to have this tissue damage neutralized, or we support the body's ability to stay away from the tissue damage and then repair the surface tissue. There are analgesic properties in these essential oils, which is going to reduce the pain response. We know that. And then bumping up the polyphenols is promoting the cellular repair. So, I mean, the big takeaway is that this is all, like when you have tension, one of the other big takeaways was just really talking about, hey Valerie, about the blood supply and the blood flow. and how when you have tension, when you're able to promote blood flow, especially surface blood flow, like to the head, then that's going to relieve the tension. And so when you think about the dilating the capillaries, like with something like peppermint and wintergreen, that's going to make more blood flow go to those areas. Not only is that going to help reduce the pain, but then it's going to take away some of the buildup of those inflammatory markers and mediators that are starting to kind of clog up that area and get things moving. So when you have those, the blood flow increased, you're going to move things. Instead of things getting stuck and swollen, you'll go ahead and move things along so that that flow can be continued. So you're not building up. A couple of the other really neat things that he was talking about too was saying that there's astringent properties in both of these actually. So you can make yourself a nice skin astringent for any type area of your skin where you have cellulite. It's going to tighten the skin and then actually help with what's built up underneath the skin. The properties of these essential oils and the blends will help with reducing not just the appearance of the cellulite, but what's causing the cellulite underneath, which we already talked about, was the buildup, oxidation. So when you can take maybe a drop or two of each of these, and I put that in an unscented lotion or in another carrier oil like castor oil or whatever carrier oil you want, and go ahead and rub that all over your legs or wherever you have cellulite or issues or problem areas. Great use for it. It feels amazing. It's going to increase the oxygenation. It's going to stop the buildup of inflammation. There's just so many different ways that we can use these. Now, personally, I know when I first was introduced to past tense, I've always loved Deep Blue. And when you talk about another thing that Dr. Starr really hit on was the fact that this is super, super healing. This is super promoting for skin healing because look at the ingredients that are in Deep Blue. How many of these are things that you think about when you think about your skin? Helichrysum, Roman Chamomile, Blue Tansy. What else was I going to say? The camphor we know is so important for the discomfort. So ylang ylang too. But really when I think about Blue Tansy, Roman Chamomile, and when I think about Helichrysum, those are very, very heavy hitter skin essential oils for problem skin. Skin that, again, when you have that chronic or that repetitive cycle where inflammation starts, and then you have that feedback loop where it just continues because there's never that intervention or there's never that interception of the cycle. So these oils, he was bringing out how this oil, Deep Blue, is an excellent oil for skin. For people who have that cycle where there's inflammation, and then it gets carried away. It takes on a life of its own. So there are all kinds of conditions. When you think about Roman Chamomile, what are some skin conditions that people you would normally think to use that for? And Helichrysum, and Blue Tansy. Think about that. So then you think about a drop of Deep Blue on the skin for that. That would be a really, really good idea to do. And then moving on to past tense, sorry, I'm just gonna get that off. There is a similar but different kind of profile of oils here. Here you have, we talked yesterday about cilantro. Here you have cilantro. So when I first was introduced to this one, it makes sense. Tension. Okay, what is underlying this discomfort? Tension. Holding tension. So when you use something like past tense that has that cilantro, the oil of releasing control, and then you have lavender to help you relax. You have the Roman Chamomile again, marjoram again. These are oils that are going to help you emotionally relax as well as physically. But most of the time when we're holding that tension in our body, it's because there is a tension mentally. There's an emotional tension that has resulted in a tension in our neck. We have this crick in our neck, and you think back and you're like, what have I been tensed up about? You have tension here, and then you think, I've been clenching my teeth. You have tension here. Have I been, what have I been doing this about? I've been worrying about something. Every single time you can trace it back to tension, emotional. So when you use past tense, my trick, I find it very intense. I like to make at least 2. I'll take an empty roller. I'll take half of the past tense, pour it into an empty one, and then I'll fill them both up the rest of the way with fractionated coconut oil, and then I will add 10 drops of ylang ylang to each one. Ylang ylang is not an ingredient in, I'm just making sure because I've been looking at both of these all morning. It's not an ingredient in past tense, it's actually in the deep blue. When I have tension, I have found that for my head tension, basil, marjoram, and ylang ylang are just like, they just do the trick. Well, basil and marjoram are both in past tense, but ylang ylang is not. And I find that I need to apply it along my jaw so that I don't clench it. So I make my own. I make 2 of them with 1 bottle of past tense, and I add 10 drops of ylang ylang to each of these. And that is, you guys, it is the best thing for when you're really tense, you really are having a hard time letting go of something. Use your past tense plus ylang ylang, dilute it down a little bit so it's not so intense by your eyes, because I like to put it near my face and I just don't want that. Woo! But some people have no problem using it straight, so that's up to you. Those are some things that I just thought would be helpful. Understanding how the deep blue actually works and how important your skin is and the surface circulation, how important that is to the whole discomfort, tightness, soreness cycle, and then how well this works for your skin too. Don't forget that, don't sleep on that. And then understanding how much tension is emotional and how much of addressing both the emotional and the physical tension is going to completely change your life and change your experience. I really hope that these are helpful for you. Maybe you didn't know about the cellulite. Maybe you didn't know that you can, apply either of those pre and post workout. There are so many different uses for these essential oils that we do not ever go without them. My daughter uses them. She might have experienced growing pains. She does aerial silks. We're going to apply that before she gets in the silks. She does all kinds of stretching and contortion with her body. So we're going to do that before so that she's not afterwards left off feeling really sore. She actually feels great afterwards. So lots and lots of uses for them. Make sure that you make the most out of your essential oils. Check out the ingredients that are in your essential oils. Go down the list and say, wow, okay, this is actually a skin oil. This is actually an oil for emotions. Make sure you understand what is in your essential oil blend so that you can max the benefit of using them. All right, guys, have a wonderful day. This does count as our Tuesday at 2, so don't look for me at 2. I wanted to get this done sooner than later so you can share this to whoever you want. Share, share, share. Make sure you share this with as many people as you possibly can so that they will understand why they would want deep blue and past tense in their life. Have a great day, guys.